Whether it's a win or a loss, of course, I am going to deliver content for the Bills Mafia, recapping all things that went down on what was a horrible game. Let's just, clear the air. This was, without a doubt, a terrible football game for a wide variety of reasons. But I will start off with the thought that Sunday night football, you wait all day for Sunday night, and that was what we watched. The Buffalo Bills losing 35-10 at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens. And I won't lie to you. I could not finish watching that game. There was a moment in the game where I said to myself, I've had enough. I have had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm too frustrated. And I walked away from the TV and I went to bed. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to be watching this football game and making myself tired for my work day. That was the decision that I had to come up with. As a Buffalo Bills fan, pains me that was a decision that I had to come up with on the fly. But it really wasn't on the fly. There's just like that seminal moment in that game. And I'll tell you what moment it was for me. I will, in this show. And again, always have to start off with a fantastic monologue, as I like to. But again, I'm very passionate about this team because I feel like they have been so close yet so very far. And to go 3-0, to win week 1, come back against Arizona, to win week 2, to come back and go back to Miami and beat Miami, that was great, right? That we could all agree that was pretty great to see the Bills whoop on the Miami Dolphins. And then week 3 was just the best of everything, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars on our own home soil, home field, I should say, after what happened last year in London against the Jaguars. So going into this game, the Buffalo Bills had every bit of momentum. They were the talk of this AFC that we're in right now, which is as competitive as it's ever been, is as dynamic as it's ever been, is as talented at quarterback as it's ever been. I think that's a bold statement. Maybe if I'm throwing a little bit of disrespect on some of the legends, some of the OGs of the sport, I might be. But at the very least, I think a lot of people would agree with me that this is the most talented group at quarterback between Mahomes, between Allen, between Lamar, between Burrow when healthy, CJ Stroud. I mean, there are a lot of really good players at that position, game's most important position in this era, right? So, with that said, I wanted to open the show with the tone that this show needs. The strict frustration that I have in regards to this game. I'm going to break it down, what I thought about this game and why. And of course, that comes from a very good place. Comes from a place that I think, yeah, Buffalo gets blown out by Baltimore 35-10. But at the same time, it's not about that. It's not just about Buffalo getting beat by Baltimore. It's about Buffalo getting beat by Baltimore, and what do they do to come back? How do they come back from that? What will they do to show in their next week's game against the Houston Texans? What will they show? How will they show that they're a much better team, a much more capable team than what they showed against Baltimore on Sunday Night Football live in front of the country? Football night in America, people. Bills get blown out by Baltimore. Now, I want to throw out there that I appreciate everybody that's tuned into this podcast over the years. I want to throw out there that I appreciate all the Bills Mafia that are tuning in right here, right now. This episode is pre-recorded. Busy schedule this week, so I wanted to pre-record this. This is airing. I'm recording it 5:30 on a Tuesday, October 1st. So if there are some additional things that I will not get to that happen between now and when this airs tomorrow, or as of right now, you guys are watching it at 8 on the Buffalo fan base, I will get to those in my show on Sunday. I have not done a pregame show yet. I've been busy making my rounds with the 24/7 Buffalo crew, but I got to do a pregame show. It'll be at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. So wakey, eggs and bakey, Ryan Thomas Takes Sports Podcast on YouTube. So check that out. Subscribe, show your support. As well, I like to show my support for a great cause. I like to show my support for something that gives back to the community that I love, that is near and dear to my heart, that is Western New York. I love to show my support for the show sponsor, as they've shown their support to me, 26shirts.com. For all of your Buffalo Bills needs, for all of your apparel, ideas that you're looking for. You want some new, catchy shirts, catchy hoodies, sweatshirts, crew necks. It's fall. It's time to get the crew necks going, right? 26shirts.com is the place to get them. Check it out. So, obviously, I wanted to open the show the way I did because it's so important to just show the raw emotion of the simple question: how did this happen? How did the Buffalo Bills go into Baltimore at 3-0 and get shellacked by a team that was 1-3? And there are a few reasons for what happened on Sunday Night Football. Number one, Buffalo, going into this one, knew that they had to stop Lamar Jackson. They knew that they had to stop Derrick Henry. They've game planned for Lamar Jackson. They've game planned for Derrick Henry, but they've never game planned for playing them both at the same time. Those two guys in the same backfield is why I stated prior to this week's game against the Ravens that Derrick Henry was the best offseason acquisition for any team, free agent-wise. Draft is a whole nother ballgame. But free agency-wise, Derrick Henry was the best offseason acquisition. Derrick Henry gives the Baltimore Ravens an even more dynamic threat that makes the threats on their offense outside of Derrick Henry that much better, which include Lamar Jackson, which include the ability for Baltimore to show an offense that goes one way, then another way, left, right, and sometimes down the middle. Derrick Henry's great to his left. Lamar Jackson's great to his right. He's a right-armed quarterback. And Derrick Henry's a guy that likes to wedge his way into that dominant side of the offensive line, typically the left side, strong side in Derrick Henry's case. Loves running behind Ronnie Stanley, loves running behind a pulling guard, and loves running people over. And from the first carry of an 87-yard touchdown, I'm thinking this is going to be a very long night. And that's due to the opposition. That's due to the Baltimore Ravens getting considerably better. Yes, they were 1-3 heading into this game. Yes, they're 2-3 right now. But this team is a good team. They're a well-coached team. They've lost some close games to start the season. They've had some hiccups that realistically are what teams do have. It's just a matter of when, not how, not if, just a matter of when. So when I look at Baltimore, I look at them as a team that is considerably better. And they are one of the teams in that upper echelon of the Chiefs, alongside the Ravens, alongside the Bengals, alongside the Bills. But what bothers me about this loss, and what really concerns me about this loss for the Buffalo Bills, is that right now, as it stands, those are the top 4 teams in the hierarchy of the AFC. And yet, I don't know if Buffalo can beat Baltimore. Obviously, the matchup was pretty terrible. The matchup was a really bad matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals, obviously, that has been a bad matchup for the Buffalo Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, that has been a bad matchup for the Buffalo Bills. So, in terms of the postseason, so you see where I'm getting at here, guys? You see my logic? If Buffalo can't get past one of those 4 teams, they're not going to get to where we want them to go, which is ultimately the Super Bowl. Could they only get as far as the AFC Championship game? Potentially. But a lot of things have to happen. And the first thing, most importantly, that has to happen with this team is that they have to stay healthy. I have been in love with Terrell Bernard since he came about. I love him as a player, love him as a person. But the best ability is availability. And we need these guys out there. We need guys like Terrell Bernard. We need him to be healthy and active. And one guy that the Buffalo Bills are going to be without is Von Miller. As news broke today, which, as I mentioned, this is being recorded on a Tuesday at 5 o'clock, Von Miller was suspended for 4 games due to the personal NFL conduct policy. Now, I am assuming, I'm in the full assumption that this was due to the incident that took place last season. I don't know. I'm assuming, I don't know right now. It's very new information that I'm gathering here. But I will tell you that this is just another cliff note in what goes down in history as the worst signing that the Bills have made in maybe my lifetime. Von Miller. Now, when this signing happened, I thought, wow, this is going to be huge for the Buffalo Bills. This is going to be a move that is going to make the Bills considerably better. And it was. For the first 8 games of Von Miller's first season with the team, it was a great move. But in all honesty, since then, it has been a horrible move for this team. And yeah, he's got 3 sacks in 3 games. He's getting healthy. He's finally starting to find his rhythm. It's hearsay. That's irrelevant now because now he's suspended for 4 weeks and Buffalo will be without the services of one Von Miller. And that is bad for this team. To lose a healthier version of Von Miller compared to last year, that is not good for this team. No matter how deep they are at D end or front 7, you name it, that is not good for this team. So everything that's bad, in life tends to come in threes, where they lose against the Ravens, they get shellacked against the Ravens, and now there's this news that Von Miller's suspended for 4 weeks. So what is next? Is it another loss to the Texans? Is it God forbid, I certainly hope not, another injury? We're starting to get to a point where I'm a little concerned. Despite being 3-1, can the Bills do the question heading into this season and heading into last season was, can the Bills do better than what they had done in previous years? Can they do better, meaning can they get past the divisional round? And as of right now, I have my doubts. I do have my doubts. Now, this is one conversation in terms of how they can get to the divisional round, win a divisional round game. Another topic of conversation is, can they win the division? Yes, they can. You have a sigh of relief, even in defeat against the Ravens, when the Jets lose to the Broncos. Miami is lost offensively without Tua, and the New England Patriots are one of the worst football teams in the NFL. So Buffalo is pretty safe in terms of winning the division, getting things right in that regard, division-wise, beast of the East, all that's fine and dandy. But in terms of getting past the Ravens, God forbid they played in the playoffs again. What could tell me or tell you guys that that game would go any differently? Because it wasn't just a loss. It was a drubbing. It was a shellacking. Yes, you're more prepared. You might have to re-prepare and, get ahead of the curve. You got some good tape to do that, and what you didn't do right and what they did very right. But at the same time, that's not the matchup that you want in the playoffs. The matchup that you want in the playoffs between the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Chiefs is honestly right now probably, maybe even if Cincinnati might not even make the playoffs at this rate. But out of those three teams, I would probably say the Chiefs. You call me crazy. They're the three-time defending, 2 or 3 year defending champs, but trying to three-peat here. They've won 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls, for crying out loud. But they're vulnerable. They've been vulnerable. It's just a matter of a team taking advantage of the vulnerabilities that they have. And no team has done that yet. Not the Bills, not the 49ers, not the Eagles. The 2 teams that played against them in the Super Bowl these past couple years. So there are a lot of layers to this game that Buffalo has to learn from. This has got to be a game that is out of sight, out of mind for the players, but it has to be in sight and in mind for the coaches. How did this happen? Well, I think my biggest takeaway from the Bills losing this game against the Baltimore Ravens is as simple as this. They were simply pillar to post outcoached by the Baltimore Ravens. Sean McDermott was outcoached by John Harbaugh. Joe Brady was outcoached by the D coordinator of the Ravens. The name is slipping my mind right now. Todd Monken outcoached Bobby Babich hand over fist. Easily outcoached Bobby Babich. And that is concerning to me because, yes, the Bills have a lot of injuries on defense. They're thinner, literally and figuratively, on defense, depth-wise, and they've been in a long time. But the players, whether they're Matt Milano or Terrell Bernard or whoever they may be, they're in the wrong position against a team like Baltimore, which is very bad for your opportunity to win. It does not help you get any closer to winning a game when your players are out of position each and every down. And I tweeted it, I posted it, and a few Bills fans disagree with me, but Bobby Babich was severely outcoached by Todd Monken. He had no idea what was coming on almost every play. And the pass catchers, which were few and far between, to be quite fair, because you only needed Lamar to throw 19 times to win this one. But they were open by 5 or 10 yards every single play, every single pass. So is that just because they're so worried about Derrick Henry? Is that because the Bills' defense was out of position, or both? I have to go back and watch the tape. As disgusting as it will make me feel to watch that game in any way, shape, or form ever again, that is something that I will do prior to the show on Sunday. But I think that Derrick Henry and the fear factor of Derrick Henry played a large part in what went wrong on Sunday Night Football. And to be honest with you, it showed me that the Ravens' makeup is a little bit different, yes, because of Derrick Henry, but Lamar Jackson is still the same guy. I've always thought of him as a little overrated. I know he's talented. I know he can do a lot. I know that he's the 2-time NFL MVP. I respect that. But I felt like he didn't really have to do a whole lot to help the Ravens win on Sunday night because they were effectively able to run the football. And there is a fullback by the name of Patrick Ricard that is 300 pounds running in front of Derrick Henry. So you got 565 pounds running at you. 300 in front of you, 265 in the rear. Like that. It sounded a little funny, but you guys know what I mean on that. They're just built different. There's not many teams that are built the way that the Ravens are. And these teams, much like in fighting, whether it's mixed martial arts or boxing, let's just take mixed martial arts, for example. Remember there was a fight. It was Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva. You guys probably remember it if you're UFC fans. Anderson was this great champion at the time, and Chris Weidman was this undefeated challenger. But Chris Weidman had never fought anyone like Anderson Silva. There's very few guys out there that you bring into your training camp that can mimic an Anderson Silva. He brings in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. They're tight. They're in the same training camp. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson can definitely mimic Anderson Silva. Didn't even have to bring him in. He was already a part of his camp. So that was a luxury that most guys that tried to fight Anderson didn't have that type of training partner, at their disposal, so to speak. So what I'm saying is that Buffalo did not have a Derrick Henry that they could simulate on their practice, regimen. Their defense was very tough to prepare in almost every way, shape, and form in this matchup. And it was a real shame to watch what took place. Because honestly, I think that it showed me that the Bills, yes, they have a vulnerability against the run. I can't remember the last time they didn't, to be quite honest. But at the same time, Sean McDermott could not adjust if he tried. And there were some very questionable, to say the least, decisions that were made by this coaching staff. Whether it was Sean McDermott, whether it was Joe Brady, with the moment, here it is, the moment that I decided to walk away from the television. And I have a nice TV. Best Buy. Thank you, Best Buy. Samsung TV. I have a great TV. Decided to walk away and go to bed. The trick play, the direct snap to Curtis Samuel, to throw it to Josh Allen, for Josh Allen to fumble the ball, for Josh Allen to take a shot that he never should have been in a position to take, that the NFL should not have allowed that shot to be thrown at Josh Allen. If it was any other quarterback in this goddamn league, they would have ejected that player. At the very least, flagged him for a personal foul and a warning, because it was a head-to-head shot. It was a dirty shot, and it was a shot that was intended to take Josh Allen out. And that is something that the NFL has hypocritically said. We're trying to make the game safer. We're trying to prevent defensive players from taking out quarterbacks. Well, they pick and choose which ones. That was on Kyler Murray. We all know how that went. If it was on Tua, we all know how that would go. But because Josh Allen is this physically imposing quarterback, they think, oh, he can take it. He can take it. He's a big guy. He can take it. It's no big deal. He'll get right back up. Josh Allen looked like he was about to throw up after that hit. He looked nauseous. He looked like he was in real pain. And that's something that he rarely shows. I've rarely seen Josh Allen show any sign or sight of pain his entire playing career. So that just goes to show you what a dirty, disgusting, despicable hit that was. And I don't even know the player that did it. He's probably an irrelevant name, probably a backup defensive lineman that just wanted to get his 5 seconds, and he got it. So good for him. But at the same time, it was pathetic. It was a joke. And to be quite frank with everybody, shame on Joe Brady for putting Josh Allen in that position. He self-admittedly said it was a stupid play call. It was a stupid, shitty play call. Whatever word you want to use, dumb, stupid, moron, whatever, you could throw it out there. Just keep it nice to an extent. I know those aren't nice words, but in terms of the choice of the play call, yeah, there are words that you can use. It was stupid. That's the best word to use. It was a stupid decision to make that play, to draw that play up in that moment, in that game, just when Buffalo was actually starting to get a little bit of momentum. When the game was a little bit within reach. It was what, 21-10. You're thinking, okay, we score here. It's a 4-point game. And then this stupid play is called by Joe Brady. That rivals the fake punt to Damar Hamlin in the playoff game against KC. That rivals. Or was that against KC? I can't remember now. Nonetheless, I mean, I think it's part of the analogy that when it rains, it pours with this team. When it rains, it pours. It gets to a point where enough is enough. Like, just play the damn game. The offensive snaps were slow. The offensive snaps, the plays, the fakes, they were very slow. And Josh Allen said it as much, that the energy was just not there. The urgency was the word, and it's a great word. The urgency was just not there from the team against Baltimore. And to be quite fair, I think that it's a great word. I'm not saying it's not, but it was never there in any moment of the game. And when it was, you know what? I'll correct myself. I'm wrong. It was there. And then you'd have these stupid play calls from Joe Brady. Now, Adam Schefter just tweeted in regards to Von Miller's suspension that this is at Adam Schefter. I'm just going to read this off my phone here. He says Von Miller's suspension stems from allegations that he assaulted his pregnant girlfriend in November of 2023 during the Bills' bye week in suburban Dallas. So that's what I assumed, right? I talked about it moments ago earlier in the show that I thought that, this was due to the incident that happened last year. And you know what? Rightfully so. I mean, these guys are supposed to be professionals at the same time. I understand there's all sorts of different backgrounds, different reasons why something like that might happen. None of them are acceptable whatsoever. But be better. It's disgusting. I never want to see something like that again. So let's get to it. Let's talk about something a little bit better, I guess. Let's talk about the Bills and Texans. So on to week 5, the Bills and the Texans. I had the header on here. Oh, there we go. Buffalo heads to Houston, right? So let's talk about this, because this is the perfect opponent for Buffalo to test themselves against, coming off of a really rough loss to the Baltimore Ravens. And I'll tell you guys this. The drama of this game is palpable. I can feel it. You guys can feel it. And we all know why. It's Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs, and the Houston Texans. This was a trade that had the fan base just either agitated, or it was a trade that had the fan base accepting the decision to move on from your best wide receiver. And not only move on from him, but eat a lot of money to do so, was one that had the Bills Mafia divided. I would say divided. That's a word we hear often now. We talk about the country and all sorts of stuff. Divided. I think the Bills fan base was divided when the news broke that Stephon Diggs was a goner and headed to Houston. Nonetheless, I think it was what was needed. I think it was necessary. And I think both teams have reaped the reward of this trade. Buffalo is 3-0. Let's not forget that. They're 3-1. Houston, on the other hand, a lot of new parts, trying to fit those new puzzle pieces together. And I don't think they've done as good a job to start the season through the first 4 games as what they had thought. But that doesn't mean that they won't be able to turn it around. And to do it potentially against a team like Buffalo would be a big win. Make no mistake about it, the Bills are still a very good team, and they're still looked at amongst the league as a very good team. They are a good team. They're better than what they showed against Baltimore. But that was the last time they were out. How do you respond to that drubbing, essentially? Well, you got to show up in Houston. You got to play smart football, smart coached football. Can the Bills stretch the field with the wide receivers they have? It's a big question. They're going to have to do it against Houston, to be quite honest with you. They're going to have to do it. Can Buffalo get back to their identity of utilizing James Cook, who was bottled up by Baltimore for the most part? They got to do it. Everything goes through James Cook. As valuable a great player that Josh Allen is, James Cook needs to get his work. He needs to get his touches. Then defensively, can Buffalo get Terrell Bernard back, for crying out loud? Is Taylor Rapp going to be healthy? We know Von Miller won't be playing in this game. So there's a lot of questions in this game. It's a very stiff test for the Buffalo Bills. I think they can win this game. I thought they'd beat Baltimore, though, and they did not. So this is the portion of the season, despite it being only week 5, this is the portion of the season that is going to tell us who the 2024 Buffalo Bills are. They just got whooped by the Baltimore Ravens. Can they respond? Can they bounce back? Can they show that they are the team that we think they are, or that we think they can be against the Houston Texans? We'll find out. But nonetheless, I think Buffalo can get this done. I hope they can. I think they can. And we'll see. On Sunday at 1, the way football games are meant to be watched. I'm Ryan Thomas. I really appreciate you guys tuning in to this pre-recorded episode. I know that you guys love when I go live. I love going live, but I just got a very busy week ahead of me. And I wanted to put out a great episode for you guys. Just sit back, crack a cold one, and just chill out and enjoy the show. I hope you did. 3-1, ideally, not where we want to be. We want to be 4-0. Want to win every game that we can. But I think they can bounce back. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Thomas. Take care.